Well, you all welcome as we see people chiming in here. I am your host, June Kales. I'm a disability consultant and a contractor with the California Foundation of Independent Living Centers, California Disaster Coalition. My hair is getting grayer and grayer. I have no fancy background, just my messy office, which I can never seem to keep clean. So you can enjoy the mess. So let me give you a preview for our next call as we see people signing on. Most importantly, the next call was the date. It's usually the second Thursday of the month, but for next month in September, it's going to be the 16th, which I think is the third Thursday of the month. That's a one-time only change. And we're going to be talking about emergency planning and response roles for health plans serving people with disabilities. And you might wonder, like, why are we in independent living talking about health plans and health and the medical model? Well, the reality is that health plans touch more people with disabilities than any other system. So we're going to talk about their role in member-focused emergency practices and what they can do as a response partner. So you'll hear about a project that I've been working on for the last year, funded by the Nielsen Foundation, and strategies that you can employ to help work with health plans to be partners with us, as well as if you're from an independent living center, opportunities for contracting with health plans to work in the through contract in emergency planning, response, and recovery efforts. So that's our call for next month. And another reminder, if you want to check out any of our prior calls, we do have an archive for that. And I will post that archive in the chat a little bit later in the call. So today we're experimenting with a new format today, so bear with us. We're kind of flying the plane as we build it. This is called What's in Your Go Bag? And I first want to take a moment and have our esteemed judges introduce themselves, because we have a series of questions for you, and each question will give you a chance to respond, and then our judges will award a prize at the end of the call related to the most creative, customizable, or unique answer per question. So,
June, may I just chime in real quick with a few housekeeping rules before we start?
Thanks for reminding me. Go ahead.
Let's get the party going. Good morning, everyone. My name is Shana, and I'm with CFILC. I'm the operations manager. I posted the link for the captioning within the chat box. If you could all stay on mute unless you would like to make comments or have a question, that would be wonderful. And also we'll do questions and answers at the last 30 minutes of the meeting. I think that's it. Thank you, June.
Okay, and just a change for this time. We're going to experiment with questions if we need them during the chat. So I'll let you know about that.
Right.
So go ahead, Sid, our first judge, introduce yourself, please.
Of course. So this is Sid or Sydney Pickern. Many of you are familiar with me. I am the manager of the Disability Disaster Access and Resources Program from CFILC. I've been working in the emergency planning space for, I would say, a little over 5 years, and I'm really happy to be here.
Over to you, Roxy.
Hey everybody, this is Roxy Crawford, Judge Crawford, and I am FEMA's Region 9 Disability Integration Specialist. I've been in with FEMA going on 17 years this year, and really excited to hear all of your answers and hopefully learn something and share some other knowledge too.
Okay, well, thank you to our judges, and we have some really good gifts for good answers or best answers, and they are emergency related gifts just to keep us in the theme. This is about really strengthening our personal resilience and through shared experience and knowledge. I'm going to ask you for your feedback today at the end of the workshop. We'll put up a poll, but if you're not able to access the poll, or if you have to sign off early, I'll put the Survey Monkey in the chat, which is really the same poll. So we have 26 people on this call so far. That's a lot. So we're going to have ask you to answer these questions in very much a speed kind of way, to only take a minute or less to answer the question so we can get through as many questions as possible. So when you answer the question, just if it's something that needs to be explained, explain it quickly so we'll know what you're talking about. Only one item per answer. So you've got per question, you can participate once. It's okay to use chat if you have a question you want to ask somebody about what they what their answer was. It's okay to use chat, and we'll try and summarize what's going on in chat for anyone unable to look at chat or see what's going on there. So in terms of your answers, I want you to use the raise your hand function. I believe under reactions, which is at the bottom of most of your screens, there should be, if you click on that, there should be an item that says raise hand. Take a moment, see if that's available to all of you. And then after you've answered, just lower your hand and we'll see how that works. Okay. One prize per question. Winners will be announced at the end of the call. So we're going to practice first with a warm-up question. The warm-up question is, you ready? Okay. How many emergency kits do you have, and where are they located? Okay, Angie, go for it.
I have one in each of our 4 cars. I have one at home. Actually, I have multiple at home because my son and my son's an Eagle Scout and my husband is an assistant scoutmaster. So we have a shed full of camping gear, a garage full of camping gear. And I have emergency kits all over the place. So I would say maybe 6 or 7. and various sizes, because it depends on if we're camping, sheltering in place, or evacuating. So that's how many I have. Yeah.
Whoa, okay. So reminder, you all turn on your camera if you want. I'd love to see who you are, if that's possible. So thanks, Angie. Jan, go ahead.
Thanks. It's my husband and myself. In our household, we have, for each of us, a 1-person 3-day backpack, as well as an emergency kit in our vehicles. And then, of course, I have one under my desk here at Independent Living Center, Kern County. For one thing, as a show and tell type backpack, but also if an emergency were to happen, I have one handy here for myself in my own office.
June, let me jump in real quick. We have some background noise. If everybody can check to make sure they're on mute, because the background noise comes through very clearly when somebody is speaking. Thank you all.
Okay, thanks. Terrence?
Hey, good morning. I'm a little ashamed to say this because I did do June, your fast team training, so I should know better than this. But I have a first aid kit in the hallway, and I got some emergency water in the kitchen, and that's about it. Definitely not enough.
No shame on this call. Thank you. No shame. Okay, any other hands? Let me see. I've got 2 screens I'm looking at. Robin?
Yeah, but for some reason, I don't have a hand on the bottom of my screen. I wanted to say, I also feel ashamed of this, especially working at an independent living center, but I don't have my own go bag together. And I think part of the reason I'm drawn to this is I get overwhelmed by it. One, I don't have a car, and I have a lot of medical equipment, and I don't know how to put everything in one quick, easy to go thing. So I know there's a lot of people like me, and that's one of the things I'm actually wanting more information so I can also better assist other people around these issues who don't have vehicles, who you can't fit everything in one bag to get out, and you don't have a lot of mobility. If you have mobility issues or other disabilities that affect your ability to carry much if you leave, beyond your water and food and all those other things. So that's one of the sorry, I'm so to be quick. That's one of the problems I have with how things are put out in general around emergency preparation. It leaves so many of us out.
That's a great question. Thanks, Robin. Hopefully we'll begin to answer some of those as we proceed today. Thank you. So we have Carrie and then we have Cindy. Carrie, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I had one excellent one. Okay, I was so proud of it. I had it marked clearly. It was bright red. Everybody could see it. But when I moved, I went through it, and so much of it had already expired. So I thought that would be something to bring up, that, you know, you could be prepared, but if you don't check it often enough, a lot of it's not going to be usable when you really need it. So I have to start over.
Okay, stay tuned. We're going to get to that issue in big time soon. Cindy?
Okay, well, there's more than one kind of disaster or emergency. So for things that we're staying home, my husband and I invested in a generator that will run our air conditioner, our television, our refrigerator, our fridge, our freezer, and our well, because we have well water. So that we got, and we had it professionally installed because I really worry about electrical fires also at home. So we got that under control. We have livestock. So we bought a second vehicle, a little small pickup that my husband drives back and forth to work, so we can leave our bigger pickup hooked up to the horse trailer, especially if we go anywhere, so that the people who watch our home while we're gone, it's something else we do. We don't leave home without leaving someone here. And so they can load up animals and get things out. Last year we had an evacuation and it kind of took us by, well, I can't say it took us by surprise because we know it's going to happen every year. And we shoved, I don't know how much stuff into how many bins. We had family come over and help us because we did that all during the warning. We didn't wait till it was mandatory. And so we didn't unload those bins. So we have all those bins that are all full of who knows what that we need to be going through and making sure that it has things that we need in there, but things that we don't need are not in there. And we bought extra dog crates for our dogs because we have 3 dogs that they never go anywhere. So we don't know if they're other dog friendly. Besides being together, they've formed their own pack. But even with, and we have fire extinguishers, one in the bedroom, one in the living room, and now we have one in the car. Our community, we live in a small rural community, and they have gone together and made an emergency disaster committee, and we have meetings. So we've done a lot of things, just listen to all those things. I didn't realize we had so much done, but still something happens if there's a call to evacuation. Your adrenaline starts pumping, and I refer to that as adrenaline poisoning, because once that happens, nothing works right. We got our horses to a place where they would be safe last year. We got our llama and our other animals to someplace else where they would be safe. But when we took the horses and we dropped them off, everybody else was taking care of horses. And I tried to call my supervisor because I wanted her to know this was on a Sunday. I didn't know how long it was going to last.
Cindy, I'm going to just stop you for a second. We need to keep the answers to a minute. I know you have a lot to say.
Okay. I didn't hear that part.
You
So
can
anyway,
a little late, that's fine. But
he said I didn't make any sense whatsoever.
no,
So I'm
save some of that because it's all tied into some of the next questions. So good
Okay.
stuff. Thank you. But a minute apiece, we have a lot of people want to talk. And we have a lot of questions. So anyone else for this warm-up question? I don't see any more hands. Checking the screens.
They're ready to play.
Okay, so this is our first question. You ready? All right. How do you keep, all right, just one, I want to summarize here, just forgot to do this. Here's what you said. I think you hit them all. I had one other. You said car kit, you said home kits, you said work kit, you said pet kit, but I have one other kit, and that's a bedside kit. For all the people who may be stuck in their bed for whatever reason, their attendant hasn't come, there's an earthquake, they can't get out of their bedroom, whatever. So anyway, you hit all the kits that I had except bed kit and pet kit. That's really good. Okay, so first question. How do you keep your kits current? How do you keep what's in your kits updated? So you have 1 minute for an answer there. How do you deal with that? Okay, Angie.
About every 6 months, we rotate our food that's in our bins in our garage, rotate that food into the house, check the expiration dates to make sure they're current, rotate that food into the house to be eaten, and we check the food that's in our pantry and replace it with food that has a longer expiration date and swap that out into the bin that's in the garage. And we go through the each kit and make sure that if there's any food items or water in there, that all gets swapped out and refurbished.
Okay. Waiting for some other hands.
June, we also have some comments in the chat box in response to the first question you asked. Would you like me to read them out?
Sure thing, but let me just, Angie, one quick note on your answer. How do you do that, right? How do you remember to do that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like I said, my son and my husband have a lot of disaster training from the Boy Scouts. So they're very attuned to being prepared. And that's kind of something that my husband kind of just does mentally every 6 months or so. You know, my son has what's called a 10 essentials kit that he takes everywhere, every hike, so it's kind of ingrained in just their thought process of always trying to be prepared for whatever might come. So it's kind of my husband and my son.
Okay, Cindy. Thank you.
I just love her response. That's someplace that we're greatly lacking.
Okay. Others?
Hi,
Go Go ahead.
this is Russell at CFILC. I am the statewide community organizer, and I apologize that I have not changed my name on Zoom yet. My pronouns are he and him. And I just wanted to add to this conversation a little bit and say, I personally think it would be helpful to hear from individuals who have put together these like 10 essential things list. That sounds like a really effective way to approach this problem, these scenarios, and maybe really kind of diving deep into what are the 10 things on your list. Thanks.
Thanks, Russell. Terrence? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. I was just going to say, looking at the chat, I really like the idea from Paul that says check during daylight savings transitions. So that's just kind of built in. So if you know that it's daylight savings, go check it. Go check your kits, because that's gonna that's just an automatic, alarm clock basically. And then he also said to check the smoke detectors and fire extinguishers at the same time. I thought that was brilliant. So thank you for that, Paul.
Okay, thank you. I see in chat, China reminded me, a lot of people talk about the importance of having a kit in every vehicle, and also in the office, a work kit. So that's really important. And let's see, any other people have PG&E battery. Well, we're going to get to that. That's going to be a question later. Yeah, Terrence, check your clocks, change your stock. Is that how it goes? There's a soundbite for that. Okay, anyone else? Updating your kit. All right, well, let's see. I would add, I do put notes in my calendar. So Junior, I just need to not ignore them when they appear. That seems to be a problem for me. And yeah, not ignoring it, particularly when there's more than one kid. So anything else about updating your kits? Okay, some people said in the chat that fire extinguishers actually have a little indicator that you should check. Well, we have to remember to look at it. Guilty, guilty. So, yeah. What else? Updating your kit. Anyone else? Nothing? Updating your kit. Okay. Ready for the next question? Now this should be, a lot of answers. What's been your biggest mistake with your kids? What kind of mistakes have you made? I feel like we should play the Jeopardy song here. Excuse me. All right, good. Karen and then Lisa.
Yeah, I got a good one. We went camping like a little while ago, and I bought a kind of a cheap, first aid kit. And I actually ended up having to use it. Someone stubbed their toe, broke a nail, and it was bleeding all over the place. And those generic Band-Aids, they just weren't good. And I learned a valuable lesson there. Don't buy cheap Band-Aids. If you're going to have a first aid kit, spend the extra money and get quality stuff, because the last thing you want is poor quality medical first aid equipment.
Interesting. Yeah, those Band-Aids can become very yucky and greasy and so yeah.
June.
We've got, let me give you the order here. We have Lisa, Carrie, Shan, and Cindy, and then was that Russell?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, that's the order. So go ahead, Shan.
Oh, I was just going to say that you probably don't know what you're missing until you need it. So that's the mistake.
Okay. Carrie?
Borrowing from it and finding all these small emergencies and then borrowing it. Then I would buy the replacements, which was great, but I never had the time to put it into the right spot. So I had my emergency supplies all over my apartment.
Interesting. Okay. Let's see, Lisa?
Hello, Lisa from SPLC. I know when we review our consumers' emergency kits, they tend to forget the manual can opener. And I'll ask them, oh, are all your cans pop-up tops? And they're like, no, but I have my electric can opener. So we get that quite a bit.
Interesting. Okay. Let's see. Cindy and then Russell.
Well, I work with a team of people with disabilities who teach emergency preparedness. So I learned so much from them. And one of the things that they teach people is that what happens a lot of times, even the cheap Band-Aids are good, but if they're over 6 months old, they have a tendency to lose their sticky. So they tell people replace the alcohol wipes, replace the Band-Aids. So I agree. I have all that stuff, but it's in a drawer in the bathroom and not in my kit. So that is one of my downfalls.
Okay. Russell.
Thanks, June. This is such a great discussion. It's so good to hear folks giving recommendations about changing stock, making sure that, obtaining quality stock when possible, And I'm just curious, what resources are folks using to fund their stock, the supplies?
So
What,
you may have missed the intro. We're doing kind of speed answers first, and then we'll have a little time to go back and take up on some of the leftover questions. So we have a group of questions, and then we have prizes for the answers, but then we'll get into some discussion if we have time as well.
Thanks, Jim.
Sure thing. Jan, let's see, I think did I call on you already? Yeah, that's my mouse, not you. Okay. Anyone else here?
June, there's more comments in the chat box.
Oh, thank you.
You're
Let's
welcome.
see. Check your clock, change your stock. That's the soundbite. Thank you. Check your clock, change your stock. 3M Next Care waterproof band-aids are the best. Keep them on till they fall off. Only the best for my busted knuckles. And they're electric battery powered one-handed can openers, but the batteries, yes. So anyone else? All right, I have to tell you my biggest mistake. And this is really troublesome. I forget to change the batteries. And I also have made the mistake of leaving the batteries in the thing, like in the flashlight. So I go to the kit to update it, and the batteries have corroded over everything, which makes the flashlight, trashes the flashlight, or anything else that was battery operated where I forgot to change the batteries. So what I've started to do is not put the batteries inside the flashlight, but to just, wrap them and protect their ends from touching each other and just kind of attaching it to the thing, the battery operated thing. So, because I've opened up my kit and the batteries they corroded over everything. They ate through plastic bag. It was a mess. Okay, on the biggest mistake, any questions related to what you've heard? Don't put batteries in anything. Keep them in an area with refrigerated medications. Don't put batteries in anything. But yeah, that's from Cindy, but I'm worried about if there's an earthquake and I can't get out of a bedroom and I need batteries, I'm not gonna be able to get to my refrigerator. So I started to look at the expiration date on the battery and buy the ones with the most out there date and attach it to something. Batteries are my downfall. Okay, any other discussions about the mistakes? I heard you, somebody said the alcohol wipes have to be switched out. I don't see any expiration date on that box. Why would they have to be switched out?
They do dry up.
Oh, I guess mine, let's see if I can find one. They're in this little thing. And they don't seem to dry up. It's called Curate Wet Cured. We help heal. Alcohol swab. You get a box of 50 or 100. There's no expert. Oh. I don't know if there's an expiration date. I'll have to get a magnifying glass. Okay. All right, ready for next question or anything else on this question? Don't be shy, no wrong answers. Okay. Next question. What is your most unique item in your kit? In your money, what's your most unique item? Okay, we have Angie, Terrence, and Carrie, and Vincent. So go ahead, Angie.
Well, trying to anticipate evacuation to a shelter or even evacuation in general. I have a couple items actually in my kit that are kind of unique to what my need is in terms of thinking about a high anxiety level. And so I have a few items. I have playing cards to pass the time. I have earbuds to listen to music to help calm me down. And I also have a small Bible and a prayer cross that I use that will help me to kind of meditate and in prayer. So that's kind of unique, I guess, to what I need.
Thank you. Terrence.
Angie, I love that. That's awesome. That I love how personal those answers are. For me, the most unique thing, just personally, are my eyes. I need to make sure I have contact lenses wherever I go. I got them in my car. I got them in my backpack. I have dailies, so I just have them all over the place. Like I just have extras everywhere. And then I have like an extra pair of, glasses too. So I need to make sure my eyes are with me at all times.
Carrie.
I have rubber cement. It helps me because if I need to grab onto too smooth of surfaces and I don't have a strong enough grip because my disability makes my hands weak, rubber cement would make it tacky. It'd give me the ability to, grab things better. So rubber cement.
Huh. Okay, thank you. Vincent.
Okay. This is Vince from CID. I always carry tools with me, like a multi-tool or tools, whatnot. I mean, because you never know. And I'm a car person, and I'm an AT manager. So of course, you're always fixing stuff somewhere. So I always, no matter where I go, I carry like a multi-tool with me, Allen keys, screwdrivers, whatnot, because I never know what's going to come up whenever I'm working or in life too, if any of my cars break down. So tools.
Great, tools. Okay, Cindy.
For us, it would be hay and horse feed pellets. I like the idea of the toolkit. I have one complete toolkit. I'm putting it in there. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. I would have never thought of hay, but then mid of LA. Interesting. Okay, what else?
June, we have comments in the chat box as well.
Okay, let's see. Batteries do dry out if they are in there long enough. Alexander talked about a tracheostomy tube. They're easy to pack medical equipment like prick tube, G tube, and other items. Russell says, quick internet search seems to indicate that standard batteries, alkaline batteries, can be stored unused for about 5 years. They might be a good recommendation for a change your stock rule for standard batteries. Yes. And he says, as a wheelchair user, I always carry a set of Allen wrenches. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So any other hands for that question? All right. I want to just add one of mine. My most unique item is that I can't carry a big bag because I need my hands to walk. So if
I think June is frozen. Well,
part of my grab still frozen.
You're good.
Can
Welcome.
you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know where I left off. Where did I leave off?
You were
Basically
going
at the very beginning.
You
Okay,
need your
my-
hands to walk.
Yeah, my most unique item is a grab-and-go kit at the front door. I can't carry a big bag, so I've equipped one of those travel vests that I just put on. So I have to miniaturize things and put things in the pocket of the vest, because that I can wear, and it's a little heavy, but I'm not carrying it, I'm wearing it. And I find that's an issue for a lot of people who can't carry stuff. Okay.
June, we have one more comment in the chat box from Vince.
Vince says, make sure to have a metric and standard Allen sets. So many times I've needed both to work on one chair. Or make sure your chair is only standard or metric. If you use the wrong one, it will strip out the Allen bolts. Absolutely right. Very good. Yeah. Any questions for anyone about their most unique item? You know, I was in Canada once, and again, the scooter broke down. I took it to a tire place or a car place to fix it. And it was Canada, and they didn't have the right kind of tool. It was one of those funky little, I don't know whether it was an Allen thing or a European had on a screw, but it was quite annoying and quite a problem. And rubber cement, I love that. Sometimes when we're at a fair, they give out those things that you put on bottles to unscrew. What do they call the rubber things? You know, they're round or square, and a piece of rubber you put on top to get a better grip.
I think they're just called jar openers.
Yeah, so that might be kind of, if you don't have any rubber cement or your rubber cement dries up, might wanna, I keep those.
Yeah, Vincent's got one right there.
Thank you, perfect, Vincent, and I actually use that to, because I don't have great motor control, I use that to unscrew the tire of my trike to pump air into it, because I can't, just to get some traction, like I think was mentioned before. Okay, next. What's your best no-cost item? No-cost item.
June? Can I give an answer? I think a good no-cost item would be education and information.
Okay, but this is a question, that's a good answer. But this pertains to, what's your best no-cost item in your kit? Any no-cost thing? It's not a trick question.
Angie has her hand up.
Go ahead, Angie.
My emergency contact list.
Excellent. Yeah, emergency contact list. Okay. Yeah, okay. Alexander. Oh, you like that answer. Sorry, I thought that was your hand. All right, come on. Low cost, no cost item. No cost item. Okay, Cindy.
One of the things that we have is a flyer that we've put together that we hand out to everyone. And so I have a copy of it, and lots of people in my community have it, and every presentation that the team does, they give that to people. So a flyer that we made.
Can you say, like, how does that help your kit? What's it say?
It has everything you need to do and everything you need to have in your kit, and other valuable information for any kind of emergency evacuation. It's quite extensive.
Okay, okay.
It helps you remember when you have adrenaline poisoning going on in your head.
So it's really a preparation item for your kit. Okay, good. It's Terrence.
All right, this one might be cheating, but extra meds. It is funded by insurance, so it's no cost to me. But yeah, it does have a cost, but it is no cost to me because the funding comes from somewhere else. But I would say extra meds.
Okay. Will the judges allow that? Okay, well, we'll find out. Anyone else?
We have a few comments in the chat box, June.
Okay. A small tube of super glue can also be used to close wounds. This is from Alexander Enders. I carry the sterile kind, so it can be used for wounds, but can also be used for regular super glue uses. So super glue from Alexandra. And Jan says a list of medication, a list of your prescriptions. Good. A list of your prescriptions. I'll add by the door in an envelope, I have a list of what I want to grab if I have 5 minutes. Things that aren't in any kit, but I need to remember. Glasses, maybe my iPad, my laptop, my wallet, my cell phone, and they're listed in order. It's just a list, because like who said it, Cindy, or when you're panicking, it's nice to have a guide, a checklist that you can look at real quick. So it's in priority order. If I can only grab one thing, the first thing is the most important thing.
June, are the judges allowed to add something here?
Yes, because none of my answers count. So judges, none of your answers count either, but you can definitely add and play. Yes, go ahead.
I just haven't seen it come up yet, but a contact list is a great free item. We all used to remember phone numbers and now they're all stored in our phones, but having deployed places where there's no electricity for extended periods of time, that contact list can be a game changer for being able to get a hold of people.
Absolutely right. I don't hardly know my husband's phone number. You just say, hey Siri, call Bob. Okay, anyone else? Uh-oh, she heard that. Stop.
I think I see Cindy's hand up.
Okay, Cindy.
Well, again, I'm going to refer back to the team that I support, and they tell everyone they need to have all of their emergency paperwork in a binder. So a binder might cost you something, but maybe you could use a manila envelope, and that should have your medication list, that should have a contact list, that should have a list of your most prized items, that if your house burns down, what are you going to need? You tell your insurance company that you need replaced. Because my niece lived in Paradise, and when she was going through the most traumatic time in her life, she had to make a list for her insurance company.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
The chat says a flyer divided into 0 to 5 minutes, 5 to 15 minutes, and 15 to 30 minutes. In other words, if you have 30 minutes to pack things up, you're going to have a lot more things available to you than if you only have 5 minutes. So prioritize that grab and go list. Angie says, put together a list of items from every room of my house that I need to take, especially if my other family members are not home. I have mine on a flash drive in the front pocket of the go bag. Okay.
So what I was referring to are the documents. I have pictures of all of our documents and pictures of my pets and pictures of my family members in case we have to evacuate and we all get separated, or if fire department needs to come into my house and know how many pets could potentially be in here. So I have pictures of all of that, and pictures of my COVID vaccination card, pictures of all of our documents in case I can't get them. We have them in a small fireproof safe, but if I have to leave immediately or in a hurry, I have at least pictures of all those documents on a small flash drive to prove that I have a social security card and what my number is and et cetera, et cetera.
Good. Optimizing your camera on your phone is a way to organize some of this stuff, as long as your cell phone still works. Or a flash drive. So. Okay, I think we'll move on to just that. This kind of brought up the whole issue of how important hard copies are of things that we don't use daily anymore, like phone numbers, like insurance, your insurance policy numbers, your insurance agent. So your prescriptions, the serial numbers of your equipment, your scooter, your mobility items, whatever. Okay. Flash drives are really good, as long as there is power available, but just think about if we have long-term power outages and we've exhausted our backup power, battery power on our devices. So hard copies. Okay, next question. What is your most valued item? Your most valued item in any of your kits? Jan?
I would say water and food, non-perishable food items.
Okay. Sid?
Yeah, that's a great answer, Jan. I would say for me, it would probably be my little solar powered radio, just in case the battery issue and the communications fail. Then there's always the sun and some form of communication that can relay some emergency information. So.
Cindy?
Cash. If all the power is down and you won't be able to get gas, you can buy food several different places, because some places that have prepackaged food will even sell you that during time of an emergency. But if you don't have any cash to buy it, you could be in bad shape.
Okay. What else?
Jen, this is Roxy. Just as a kind of a filler, knowing, just sharing information, I truly value the external hard drives that we have and that we've built, that have all of our scanned documents, taxes information, and photos and other, personal things on them. They're relatively inexpensive and you can save basically everything on them. So.
Kind of like one of these. This kind of thing, Roxy? Just or a thumb drive.
I can't actually see you. They're about the size of a cell phone.
Yeah,
I believe that my video froze, which is why I can't see you. And you plug it into the computer and can save all of your information on it.
right. Like a big thumb drive or a little square with a little USB port. Angie's holding one up.
Yeah,
I'm-
those things.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to feel, I think for me, it's that and the thing that would power my cell phone in an auxiliary kind of way for a while, whether it's a solar powered item or something I've charged up over time. Sucker's kind of heavy, but it holds a charge for a long time. Cindy, go ahead.
Pictures of my kids when they were little. Those also have to be put on some kind of zip drive. A lot of people download them into Facebook, but I have a huge box that all of my pictures are in, and having those put on discs or zip drives would be one of the most valuable things for me.
Okay, Robin says, I was able to download my medical records from Kaiser and save them to my flash drive for when travel in case of emergency. Okay, I want to come back to that one. That's good. Paul says, the drives are valuable and also contain very valuable information. It is important to have them set up with encryption to protect the valuable information in them. Good point, Paul. So to Robert's point in chat about downloading your medical records from Kaiser and saving them to your flash drive for when travel in case of emergency. Yep. We talked about that in some prior calls, in that I've always thought that's the right thing to do, but so many health systems now will not allow you, or they won't plug your drive into any of their systems because of everything we have going with hacking and viruses and all that. So it's made us step back and think about that a bit more. It's great if we have, something to plug in to something that's not in the health system, so we can show it or print it or have it on our phones if there's power, but relying on it to give it to a health provider to plug into their system may not work like it used to work. Any of you had experience with that? Robin?
I know Kaiser has a system set up, and they have, I read on their website, of doing this in case of emergency, or if you're travel and you need to share records. So I haven't had to use it yet, but it's something I think, so maybe it's something I have to access to be able to give them. I don't actually know, but I know that's the reason it was set up. So I'm assuming, or I've been assuming, that that's workable. And I know that's much easier for me than trying to gather all my papers of medical things, which is also valuable information that I could lose and someone could access my information that way. So I understand keeping things safe, but I think there's ways to keep them safe on a flash drive as much as papers that you carry around.
This is Roxy. There's also a lot of pretty effective online storage options, things like Dropbox and other encrypted things where you would need to be able to log in. I know I've taken to storing my photos on Google Photos and documents in Dropbox. And those are things that you can access from any location without them having to worry about malware and things like that, because you're able to log into it just on the system. So some other thoughts instead of carrying on I like to keep lots of copies. I keep a digital copy on Google Photos and things in Dropbox. Then I also have things on an external hard drive or a thumb drive, just to make sure that if some system were to crash or whatnot, I would still have access without having to have the internet.
Good point. Making use of the cloud, no matter what you use, whether you use iCloud or Dropbox or any of those storage options, is one of multiple ways to store things. And then as Roxy says, multiple ways, still some hard copies of the most important things are also critical. All right, last question, and then we'll open it up for discussion. And Russell, I know you had a question you wanted to pose for discussion, but the last question is, what's the most valued item in your cell phone, in your kit, that is? What's your most valued item?
I think we did that one.
We did the most expensive. Oh, I'm sorry, we did. It's getting lost in my list. What's your most expensive item? Your most expensive item?
Did I not put that?
June, we have some comments in the chat box.
Okay. A reminder to take photos of important items, save them on your phone. For the most expensive item, my medical stuff. That's from Alexander. My medical stuff, medical equipment. Just a reminder to mute if you're not speaking. Robin says medical equipment. Doreen.
Probably the most expensive single small item is my eyeglasses, spare eyeglasses.
Mhm. Okay, good, good. Angie says her prosthesis. I think for me, the most expensive item in the Go kit, the grab and go kit, is I have a cheap wallet in there with lots of dollar bills and $5 bills. Somebody mentioned this already earlier, but small bills when no ATM or no credit card will work. And I think I have about quite a bit of cash in that little wallet for that purpose. That's probably the most pricey item besides grabbing my cell phone. Let's see what else. Alexandra Anders says my Garmin InReach. Okay, you gotta explain that one. Alex, go ahead.
inReach is a satellite-based two-way texting with an SOS on it. So wherever you are, it's all the cell towers can be down, works off the satellites. And you can SOS in for assistance, or you can text other people and they can text you back. It's one of the only devices like that that has two-way texting, and it requires a subscription, but it's well worth having that ability to communicate wherever you are when the cell towers are down.
Well, how expensive is something like that?
Well, the one that works with your phone is about $400. More around maybe around $600. I'm upgrading, getting a new one that also has a camera and a GPS in it, and that one's $800. But you have to have a monthly subscription. I have the basic subscription. It's less than $15 a month, but it gives me a huge amount of security. I'm often off the grid. I'm often out in the wilderness. It's definitely like top item in that I would grab just so I can communicate when all the other systems are down. It's unlikely that the satellites are going to be down. It's well worth having.
Wow. Okay, well, we've got some time. I'll open it up to any of you who have questions or think you'd like to discuss. Things that you thought about in the discussion.
This is Roxy. I took some notes about things all the way back to the test question and throughout. Robin had mentioned specifically kind of a struggle for looking at medical equipment and things that are too big or too used or utilized every single day to put into a kit or a specific area. And I think we kind of talked about that in just making the list of items that you would need to grab, and to June's credit, say, putting those in the most important order. Like, I need this piece of durable medical equipment. And sometimes it can be hard to process those things kind of in the moment. And so having a list and knowing what equipment you need to grab, and things that you can't put into a kit because they're daily use items. Just kind of going back to address that. We also had changing out items that may not actually have expiration dates, but may no longer be good. Like, my mom gave me a bunch of things that were mine when I was a kid, and there's tons of stickers in there, and they definitely don't have expiration dates. They totally don't stick anymore. They're just weird pieces of paper with unicorns and sparkles. So there are things that go bad without needing expiration dates. So I think it's worth, at a minimum annually, taking a look at what's in your kit and just kind of seeing if it looks like it's in packaging that's from 1970 something, it may be time to replace that item. There are things that go bad that we don't even think about. You look at clothes that lose their elastic, the same thing happens with ACE bandages and other items that have an elastic kind of component to them, Band-Aids, bandages, things just kind of degrade and break down over time. And so it's worth taking a look at those items, even if they don't have an expiration date, just see how old the packaging looks to you. And if it's something that is critical to replace, maybe put the effort into replacing it, or at least looking at it and seeing, does it still stick? Take one Band-Aid out of the pack and test it out. And then for the lists, we talked about lists and making lists. Having those hard copy lists is great. You never know what kind of access you'll have. I saw somebody put in the comments to take photos of documents and lists and keep a digital archive of that as well. That's not a bad idea. I would recommend putting your lists in one of the big freezer Ziploc bags, something that you can see through, but that keeps it in a more waterproof condition than just having papers kind of rolling about. It stops them from getting as crinkled and lost. And so just keeping those in some either contact paper or Ziploc bag or something to keep them protected from elements. Those are the items that I had on my list to go back and visit. Did anybody, June or Sydney, have other items?
Yeah, Roxy, that excellent. I think it was Robin or I can't remember who, but somebody asked, I've got a lot of equipment and it's hard to think about what I could realistically take. And I think that was a really good question. Because I guess you have to establish your own filter questions. What would be the most difficult for you to replace? Or what would be most life-sustaining for you if you had to leave? And everybody's list will be very personal. You can't take everything you need. I have a cartoon in my head I've not drawn yet, but often you hear emergency people say, take everything you need because it may not be at the shelter that you're going to. And that has kept many people from evacuating because they're scared that they won't have what they need. And, a lot of things you can replace, but there are certain items that will take a much longer time. So you've got to establish your own filter list. What's most important for you? And Roxy, the only other thing I want to add to what you said is the Ziploc bags. I did a test recently where I tested the Ziploc bags to see how waterproof they actually are, and they're not.
No, it's more of a weather protection than waterproofing. You can actually laminate things to make them fully like waterproof, but if you don't have access to that, at least getting things slightly more protected is a good plan. Revisiting what you were talking about, June, with the equipment, another thing that we like to encourage people to do is maybe hold on to some older technology or some basic things. If you use a communication board, and that gets ruined or lost, do you have the laminated cards and alphabets to be able to communicate on a more basic level in the interim until you have regained access to, more recent or newer technology? Same with, old chairs versus new chairs. Is there an option? Like, I live 4 miles from my mom and we keep one of my husband's chairs at an older one at my mother's home. If something were to happen at our home, he would still have access to that other chair at some point, unless, it was a really widespread event, which is also possible. But we try to set ourselves up a little bit to still have access to some of our older technology that, maybe doesn't fully suit his needs, but it's still more effective than a manual chair or things like that. Just kind of thoughts on those items. I see Cindy's hand.
Go ahead.
Well, we've had lots of experience here in Northern California. Right now, we have fire on every side except to the south. And we have learned so much. And that's the reason our flyer is so extensive, because we add to every time. One of the things that we've learned is that you got to work with your family for your evacuation route, because we had the executive director of our company went one way, her husband went another. They spent more time looking for each other. One of the ladies that lived in Paradise uses a wheelchair, and people forgot her. She has no transportation individually. It was one way in, one way out. and her boyfriend happened to think about her and drove up there in the midst of all that danger and got her out, or she wouldn't be with us today. So there's so many things behind the scenes that we've learned that it's just, well, we know people right now that have lost everything. And so I'm still going on that adrenaline for them. Just got a call yesterday and we helped with some things. But I agree that the Ziploc bag, I would imagine the freezer bags might be a little better than the plain storage bags, but still that's just to help. You know, it's not a guarantee, but how many people are going to have to evacuate in a flood if they live in our area? You know, chances are slim. So even the area that you live in will dictate what you should have in your bag.
Good point, Cindy. I live where a flood it could be imminent, so Alexander actually clued me into this thing on Amazon. It's called OPSAC bags, and they're actually 100% leak proof. Oh, they're called LOKSAK, LOKSAK or OPSAK. And in the chat we have Lisa reminded me that CFILC has a disaster readiness survey we'd like y'all to take, and that link is in chat. I put a link in chat about an emergency kit document that I have that might be helpful. Alexandra says, keeping things fresh. Borrowing from my kit may be a good idea. Does anyone have a system for this? I find it painful to keep throwing things away because they are too old. Great question. And great question.
This is Roxy. Small things like Band-Aids and whatnot, having two very active children, when we run out of Band-Aids, we, instead of just replacing those Band-Aids, we pull from the medical bag in the kit and then buy new ones for the kit. You have to be organized to make sure you add it right to your shopping list so you don't forget and find you have nothing. That only works if you're using a ton of Band-Aids, which we are because my kids are crazy. And it only works for certain things. Like hopefully you're not using, an eye wash solution all that often, maybe Band-Aids more often, but just things to think about. If there's ways that you can incorporate those into, for us, even the canned food items in the Go Kit, we like to push those in through the house and then replenish them into the kit rather than just buying for the house and continuing to restock the kitchen. So if there's a way that you can kind of work that into your system where you go there first, but be really organized about your shopping list for replacing.
So I want to make time for us to, there's a poll up that you could take, but I want to hear from our judges and who's ever been awarded a prize. Sid and I will put our emails in the chat because you need to email us your address if you've been a prize winner. So let's hear from our judges and you guys can take the poll at the same time.
June, Cindy has her hand up, and Sid also posted a link within the chat box of the Dadar Go Bag Guide.
Thank you. Let's hear from our judges first, and then we'll go back to you, Cindy.
Sure. So this is Sid. So of course, we would like to give prizes to everyone, and everyone had excellent answers. So it was hard to narrow it down, but just really quickly. So for question number 1, how do you keep your kits current and updated? We decided that Angie's answer was very thorough, and obviously Angie has a lot of experience. in this area. So congratulations, Angie. On question number 2, your biggest mistake, Lisa from SVILC, in terms of the manual can opener. I think that we all could agree that that's an excellent reminder. So congratulations, Lisa. And then for question number 3, your most unique item, we decided that Carrie for rubber cement was something that, you know, many of us probably haven't considered, and also can be disability specific too. So congratulations, Carrie. For question number 4, your best no cost item. I think we agreed that Cindy, for just a comprehensive documentation of your emergency paperwork, is just a great reminder. So congratulations. And then for number 5, your most valued item, Robin, for the having your health records on a flash drive, if you can do that. I know there were some concerns from June. And then number 6, most expensive item, I think probably Alexandra's comment about the Garmin device. You know, I think being able to communicate is one of the key things during an emergency. So congratulations for that. And then we have an overall winner, which is probably not shocking. Cindy, you are our grand prize winner, and you will be receiving a life straw from CFILC, which is basically a water filter device that you can place into any sort of water that you can have access to, and it will filter that water to make it safe to drink. So I just want to thank everyone for participating. I mean, I think obviously this is a really important subject, and I think this is an area that just keeps developing and growing. And so I just appreciate you all being here and your participation.
June, are we ready to launch the poll?
Thank you.
We are. Just a reminder, I put my email in chat, and the winners need to send me by email your address so we can send you your great gift. Please remember to do that. Send me your address, full address. And yes, please take the poll that Shana is posting. And
Lisa, our colleague, is going to launch the poll for us today.
okay.
I have launched the poll.
Yes, I've seen it up here for a while. So
Oh, I can't see.
all of you, we've had about 10 of you take the poll. We've got a lot more in the call. So please take the poll if you can, or use the Survey Monkey in chat to take the poll, or so some last minute comments in chat. Reminders, send me your address. And Alexandra says, I learned so much today. This is a very prepared group. Great ideas. And Jan says, great shared information today. Thanks to all. And I agree, it's a very eclectic group, very interesting ideas. Good work.
Thank you for posting that, Alexandra. I think it's helpful if people know how to save the chat so they can get all the links and things out of it. Did everyone see Alexandra's comment? You just use the 3 dots in the chat and you should be able to save it if that's, if you'd like to make sure that you have everyone's emails that have posted and links.
And Cindy, if you could send me your email, your address by email, that'd be great, but I'll try and capture it in chat too. All right, well, thanks to you all, and be safe, and see you in a month. And thanks again to our esteemed judges. Great job, you too. Take care. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye. So Sydney and Roxy.
I think Sydney left.
Thank you. Well, thanks again. Good work. And great contributions. Appreciate. Yeah. Interesting way to do this.
I think it was fun.
Yeah.
Something different.
Yeah. And reinforcement of some really good tools that we
Absolutely.
sometimes forget. And the Band-Aid stuff. God.
Who'd have thunk, right? Yeah, there's so many things that people have to offer that I learn something every time we do an event like this, where everybody gets an opportunity to contribute.
Yeah. I used to think it was me, like, am I buying the wrong rubber bands? Or how come these Band-Aids are so gooey, yucky? Ugh, you know?
Right? Yes. Hair bands.
Yeah.
If you leave hair bands in the car in the Sacramento area, they're dead after the summer.
And your point about elastic, you're right. All those emergency clothes, I checked them after 10 years, and you take the waistband and it goes crunch, 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 crunch.
Yes.
And I think that never happened when I was a kid. And then I realized, well, you weren't a kid for that long.
Right? And you go through your clothes so fast because you're growing.
Yeah.
But as a grown-up, it's kind of the same thing forever.
And also your abilities change. Like, I don't want buttons in my emergency kit anymore because they're harder than they used to be to deal with.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you
Post-pandemic, I need to go through my kit and size everything up or diet, one of the two.
So just so you know, we had 16 people do the poll. 6 rated it good, 10 rated it very helpful. Those are the highest ratings. And there was no not helpful, okay, or fair. So good and very helpful. So
yeah,
good for us.
Good job. I love this idea, June. This was fun.
And I hope next time we can do, there's an app for that.
Oh, that's going to be fun. That is awesome.
And I don't know if we'll do the prizes again, because I don't know if we have enough to
right.
do that, but it still would be fun to give people, I think, a virtual pat on the back,
Yeah, virtual prizes. We can make them very strange. Can gift people virtual rubber chickens and things, make it extra fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Okay.